Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of FFPC Live Best Ball Draft Theater, I guess as it is. We are back covering this for you until the duration tonight. We're covering this as number 4 of the FFPC Best Ball Tournament that my co-host, Dave Terpoilli, is drafting in tonight. We've done this about 4 times so far this season. This will be our 4th time. And Terp is taking his shot at a $200,000 grand prize, much like you can in the FFPC Best Ball Tournament. Just $125 to enter, and you could win $200,000 in this competition. If you want to play in our mid-stakes tournament, the Football Guys Players Championship, $500,000 is going to go to the lucky winner there, and just $350 to get into that. The flagship, the main event, that is cranking along at warp speed right now. $1 million grand prize on the line. Make sure you're registering for that at myffpc.com. We also have the Superflex Best Ball Tournament 2, which is going to sell out imminently if it hasn't already. Dynasty startups also available with live drafts, so you don't have to wait weeks upon weeks to get them done. They're going to be done fast. Plenty of live and sit-and-go best ball options all at myffpc.com as well. Let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend, the Terp. He is drafting from the 6th spot tonight. You follow him on Twitter at Dave Terp. It is Dave Terpoilli. Welcome in, man.
Let's go. This probably will be our last one we're going to do, and we're going to try to make it a fun one. It's already started off with some interesting picks.
Yeah, so let's get into it right now. Terp, you are drafting 6th. You had McCaffrey, then Taylor in this draft, followed by Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson. No surprise there. Then you have Eckler. You were faced with the decision, well, who do I go with here? I could go Kelsey. I could go a different tight end. I could go Jamar Chase. You go Stephon Diggs here. Why was Stephon Diggs the pick here at 106?
I came in with a little bit of a plan tonight. I knew it was going to come down to Chase or Diggs, who's my 6th player. I wanted more Diggs. I have a little bit of Chase. I'm just trying to add as much of these guys as possible. There really was no other option. To me, Diggs could easily be the wide receiver 1 this year. So there's really not much of a difference between him and the other 3.
Why are you not concerned with Gabe Davis maybe taking a step forward this year and taking some of those targets away from Diggs?
I mean, just look at Diggs last year. I mean, everything went wrong, and he still finished great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gabe Davis is obviously the hype guy, and everything surrounding him is positive. But I just think when it comes down to it, what's the real difference between Diggs and Chase? I mean, you got to worry about T. Higgins, too.
True.
So to me, Diggs is the better offense, playing a little bit more of an up-tempo game with Josh Allen, not much of a running game. So I just think Diggs they're pulling hairs. I'll take either of them and be thrilled about it, but I came in with a little bit of a plan with the first pick to get Diggs, and we'll see what happens now.
The shocking pick that I think we want to talk about in the first round here, Kyle Pitts, 7th overall, as the first tight end off the board. Aiden, FFPC Aiden in here, saying he's as big a Pitts guy as anybody, but 7th overall. I haven't not seen that all drafting season, Terp. Not only Kyle Pitts going 7th, I haven't seen him drafted as the first tight end off the board ahead of Kelsey and Andrews either.
I've been in a lot of drafts with Team 7, and I think it's a she. It could be wrong. The name's Jackie, but she gets wild in these drafts, and nice. nothing she does is ordinary. So I enjoy, having her in a draft, and having her after me could be fun because she doesn't really worry about ADP. If it's a she, I think it is, with the name Jackie. I could be wrong.
All right.
But, I mean, she gets a little wild with the picks. So I'm interested to see how this goes with her, right behind me and in front of me at some points.
Jamar Chase, the 8th pick tonight. 109 is where Travis Kelce falls to tonight. Good value for Team 9 there. Is Travis Kelce normally being selected 107? And we say, Balky, well, that's only, I think I brought this up before, that's only 2 picks of value. Yeah, but it's amplified the higher up you get in the draft. Najee Harris falls to the 110, followed by Joe Mixon after Najee Harris. And then Dalvin Cook, the final pick of the first round. So those final 3 running backs are Harris, Mixon, and Cook. No real surprises there. Turpin, in your drafts, I've seen Najee Harris falling a little bit more.
He's falling, obviously, with the injury news coming out. I'm on the clock right now, so let me just make this pick.
Yeah, go ahead, make the pick. You started off with Diggs. This is your 207 pick. A lot of running backs off the board here in the second round. We are looking at 11 running backs gone, 5 receivers gone, 2 tight ends gone. Terp, who's going to be the pick after Diggs?
Very easy pick here, a guy that I need to get more exposure to with these drafts coming to an end. CeeDee Lamb, very simple to me, not trying to overcomplicate things. Mark Andrews is a consideration because I have 0 shares of Mark Andrews so far. Mm-hmm. So I thought about adding one, but to me, a Diggs Lamb start, I'm good with it.
You know, a lot of people have been saying that they're worried about the Dallas offensive line there, and
very worried.
And maybe that's a concern for the offense. Isn't that better for CeeDee Lamb though? I mean, because if the offensive line isn't going to be good enough to open up holes, maybe Dallas isn't so good, and then maybe CeeDee Lamb's catching a lot of passes when Dallas is playing catch up in the second halves. Am I wrong there?
1,000%.
Okay.
If their offensive line is not, it's not looking strong right now, obviously with the Smith injury, so that probably means they're not going to run the ball that well. So that means Dak's going to probably play, a lot of like he was last year, just throwing the ball around the field. And that can only benefit a guy like CeeDee Lamb. And obviously on the other side, there's a lot of questions. Gallup probably won't start the season. He's not on the PUP list, but he's probably not going to be out there for a couple of weeks, I would think, maybe 1 or 2. Jalen Tolbert, the star, has slowed down a little bit. You really haven't heard anything about him recently. And, Dalton Schultz is still, a good pick in some people's eyes. So I just see Lamb getting a ton of targets, and you're going to really see really quickly if he's the alpha.
I want to get into the second round here because we're almost complete. DeAndre Swift, Saquon Barkley, two of the higher risers early on, probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They go with the 201, 202. Derrick Henry falls to the 203, followed by Devontae Adams, the 5th receiver off the board. Alvin Kamara, who FFPC Aiden says is still too low at running back 10. I'm kind of with you on that, Aiden. I totally agree. I think he should be going higher.
I 100% agree too.
Yeah.
He should be in the end of the first round.
And, well, do you think he gets there by the time we're in Las Vegas next week?
I don't. I mean, we're talking about a week. We're talking about a week away. I don't see – I just see him staying pretty much where he's at. He might get bumped up a little bit, but, why not Alvin Kamara over Najee Harris? Why not Alvin Kamara over Derrick Henry or Joe Mixon? I mean, it's splitting hairs, but still, I think Kamara, you've seen the massive upside. And there's other guys, especially Harris and Mixon. Yeah, they're okay, but – I don't see the 40-point upside that Kamara brings.
Aaron Jones right after Kamara, followed by Terp's pick of CeeDee Lamb. Mark Andrews the pick after that, and then it's all receivers in the second round. Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, A.J. Brown, and Tyreek Hill off the board at the 212. You think Tyreek Hill is going to climb given the fact that, and I feel like I've been bringing this up on all the media lately, Jalen Waddle hasn't practiced in 3 weeks. Shouldn't be Tyreek Hill be going a little bit higher given that Waddle is kind of behind the 8 ball here and he needs to get on the field soon?
It's definitely a big worry. I mean, obviously with, so many questions, the Waddle injury hasn't practiced in a while. I think Tyreek Hill is going to move up. I don't know if that's really a good thing. I think Waddle being on the other side will help him a lot more. I am on the clock right now, and I'm very sad that Cortland Sutton did not make it to me.
Right.
So team 3, I'm not really thrilled with you to start this off, but I'm just going to go back to it's either 1 or 2. So we know who we're taking here. Running back, Travis Etienne. No questions about James Robinson here. Never will be any questions. This might be the last draft I do on here, best ball draft. So a lot of these guys are going to be guys I'm going to be drafting in my multiple main events coming up.
Yeah, and the fact that you don't have a whole lot of CeeDee Lamb, now you get a guy that you do have a whole lot of with Travis Etienne. Now you have some Travis Etienne teams with CeeDee Lamb on it. Was there any consideration there if, let's say, Etienne was still available? What if Josh Allen would have made it to you at the 306? Would you have taken Allen over Etienne?
No, I mean, I've always wanted to build an Allen Diggs team just to have one, but the price you got to pay for Josh Allen is just too much for me. I mean, if he's there in the 4th round, we're talking different, which he has been in a lot of these drafts. But most of those drafts, I didn't get Diggs, so I kind of just let Allen go.
That was the end of the second round. The third round, well underway. Javonte Williams falls to the 301, followed by T. Higgins at the 302. You already heard Terp say Cortland Sutton at the 303. Team 3 now, the only team in this draft to start off with 3 straight running backs. Josh Allen is the naked pairing to Justin Jefferson and Mike Evans. No Bills on that team. Deebo Samuel, followed by Etienne. That was Terp's pick. Then you have Terry McLaurin off the board here at the 307. I was actually talking with Matt Schauf on an earlier broadcast I did tonight. Matt Schauf from DraftSharks.com on the High Stakes Fantasy show, High Stakes Fantasy Football show on the Better Sports Network. We had our debut episode tonight. It was fun talking with him, chopping it up with him. And he brought up that he thinks there's a chance that Jahan Dotson's numbers rival Terry McLaurin's this year. Made a point saying, I don't think that's going to happen, but there's certainly a chance that it could happen. Is McLaurin been a target for you at all, Terp, this year?
Not really. I mean, I think I have him on 1 or 2 teams, not a ton. He's not really somebody that, this is probably one of the earliest I've seen him go. I do like Jahan Dotson. I'm a big fan of Jahan Dotson. I got a lot of early shares of him before he started getting a little expensive. I mean, I'm still in on him now, but definitely he's not one of my favorite targets. I'll say that.
James Conner after that, followed by Leonard Fournette. Nick Chubb off the board at the 3:10 tonight. DJ Moore and Keenan Allen wrap up the third round. Terp, Leonard Fournette's been falling. What's your sort of take on that? Because the offensive line there, I think they had another offensive line injury today. I think the center, the backup center now went down. Fournette to me was sort of a fade to begin with. And I think he continues down that path. I'm really worried about the Tampa offensive line.
He's definitely been a fade to me too. I've been much rather take Rachaad White at a cheaper price. It could burn me. It burned me last year, obviously, with Fournette having the big year that he did. But I'll take my chances with the offensive line being what the offensive line is right there. I mean, I'm just very, very worried about Leonard Fournette. And you see a lot of people that are worried about it because he was going in the late second round in a lot of drafts. And pretty much he's been falling. I've seen him get almost to the end of the third in some drafts. So he's definitely a guy that the ETN upside, the guys after DJ Moore, a couple other guys that are on the board, I probably would take over Fournette.
What about that stack that Team 12 is working on? Obviously, they start off with Cook and Swift, but then they get that Charger stack there. Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert. Allen and Herbert getting the hookup there is Team 12. How many Allen Herbert teams do you have? Or are you more of a Mike Williams, Justin Herbert guy?
I'm more of a...
Or avoid the Chargers.
Now I can say, because Mike Williams just got taken.
Okay.
I'm a Mike Williams Herbert guy, and I'm on the clock, so give me 1 second.
Terp is on the clock. Yeah, go ahead.
My pick will come down to 2 players. Do I go with the tight end, the last of the tier, which is George Kittle, or do I go after my boy Gabe Davis? But I don't think that's going to happen because I don't as much as that. I know a lot of people are into that, like just getting 2, good receivers on the team without the quarterback, the naked quarterback, I guess you could say. It's not something I like doing. I think there's a little bit of drop off at receiver, running backs, not really pretty for me right now. So my pick will be George Kittle, and we will keep it moving.
All right, so the 5th tight end off the board goes to Dave Terpoilli, and that is George Kittle here at the 6th spot. Can you tell me, and I'm a little confused, what's the advantage of people going with 2 receivers on the same team, but then not getting the quarterback with him? I would think you'd want to pair the quarterback with him.
In a situation with Josh Allen, it's kind of tough sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see why people would just, if they're going to be a big-time offense, you're going to get in a best ball format, you have to start 2 receivers. So you're going to get a big score every week if Josh Allen is what Josh Allen you think he's going to be.
So
there's going to be times.
Optimally, you'd want Allen too, but it's just difficult.
Optimally, but Josh Allen and Herbert, they're 2 guys that are really, really difficult to get.
Mm-hmm.
They're just right now in drafts, they're very, very difficult, and it's very hard to just pair them with the guys. You might get one of them, but the chances of you getting 2 are very, very slim. I've seen like a couple Allen, Diggs, Davis stacks, but they're extremely rare. It'd be great to have when it counts, but you
absolutely it would. Yeah, you do have to get there first. Allen Robinson, the 402 pick tonight, followed by Darren Waller to Team 12. A couple of receivers, W receivers, Jalen Waddle and Mike Williams. Then you go to David Montgomery, beg your pardon. He is the 2nd running back drafted by Team 7 tonight. George Kittle, you already heard that pick from Terp. Amon-Ra St. Brown paired with Deebo Samuel for the top 2 receivers for Team 5. And then we look at the 409 pick. It is the 6th tight end off the board, and it is Dalton Schultz. Marquise Brown after that, followed by Patrick Mahomes as the penultimate pick of the 4th round. Patrick Mahomes going to Team 2. By the way, Team 3 off to a 4 wide receiver start. Gabe Davis, the final pick of the 4th round from the Buffalo Bills. He goes to Team 1. I saw in Kentucky this past weekend, Dave, as I was drafting live at Farrell Elliott's Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship. I saw a lot of teams, I shouldn't say a lot, a significant amount of teams drafting Dalton Schultz over George Kittle. Why? And maybe you've already done that this year.
I did my championship last night, and I saw the same thing. I saw him and Hawkinson go over Kittle.
Okay. Hawkinson over Kittle's a little weird.
I was shocked on both of them. People are scared of Trey Lance, and that's fair. You're allowed to be, especially now. You could be even more scared of Trey Lance with the Jimmy G news, which still makes no sense to me. But
makes no sense to you why the Niners would
why? And what's Jimmy G? If that's, to me, it's the biggest red flag for a player. Why would he not want to get out of San Francisco?
Unless they are concerned that Trey Lance might not be ready. Is it a possibility?
But even that, you got a chance in some spots. I don't know who's looking for him, Seattle or Cleveland, or I don't know if they inquired, obviously. Mm-hmm. But Trey Lance would have to be dreadful, like extremely dreadful for them to bench him.
Okay.
I am on the clock. We have a couple options here.
Terp's
I
got
don't have much Brandon Cooks. He's an option. I'm not a Deontay Johnson guy.
Terp, right now, while he decides, I can tell you he has Diggs and Lamb. This is Team 6, is Dave Terpoilli here. Diggs and Lamb in the first 2 rounds. He adds his number 1 running back and his number 1 tight end, Travis Etienne and George Kittle, and he's adding another player right now.
The player I will be adding is a guy that I'm extremely high on this year. I thought about getting a little different, but like I said, I'm going to get my guys. Rashad Bateman is my pick.
Ooh. Now
he's been falling a little bit in these drafts, which I don't understand why people are scared of Lamar Jackson, which is fair. But I mean, who is there to catch the ball? It's him and Mark Andrews. The upside is I mean, there's no second receiver. They've added nobody. They traded for nobody. If you want to be a Devin Duvernay guy or an Isaiah Likely, I mean, I'm a Bateman guy. I could take Bateman on every team and leave the draft happy.
So, and that makes a lot of sense there. There's a lot of receivers going off the board here in the 5th round as we update you. Team 1 adds a 3rd receiver to their roster with Jerry Jeudy to go with Tyreek Hill and Gabe Davis. Juju Smith-Schuster, the 502 pick, followed by the lone non-receiver pick so far in the 5th round. That's A.J. Dillon. Now, remember, Team 3 started off with Kupp, Pittman, Sutton, and Marquise Brown, and now they get their number 1 running back in A.J. Dillon. Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin are the next 2 picks off the board, and then Terp took Rashad Bateman. Darnell Mooney is the 2nd receiver drafted by Team 7. Ezekiel Elliott is going to be the 3rd running back selected by Team 8. They are one of 2 teams with 3 running backs so far. It's Kamara, Connor there, along with Elliott, and then Jamar Chase and Mike Williams. I want to get back to Team 3 start here. 4 wide receivers. Now, in best ball, historically, like the old adages, the boomers would say, oh, you got to load up on the running backs early and then pick off these wide receivers as the draft goes on and load up at that position. What's your sort of philosophy? I don't know how many teams you've started off with 4 straight receivers, Terp. Your philosophy on that draft start?
My philosophy has changed. It used to be always get running backs early or try to get running backs early. But I've tried to evolve over the years to, mess around with some of these starts. We have an auto pick out of Team 10. That we got to check that draft out at the end. That could be very, very interesting. 4 running backs.
Yeah.
And 1 thing. But back to Team 3. I've been trying to mess around with a little, 4 wide receiver starts, 3 wide receiver, and a tight end start, and just seeing what the teams look like. And to be honest, the teams have looked a lot better than I thought they would be. Mostly because you can keep going and still be in the zone running back where I like. And not be in this dead zone, Cam Akers, Zeke. I like Breece Hall. I like A.J. Dillon. Perfectly good with that start, especially in best ball because A.J. Dillon's going to get plenty of work.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you go down that list, J.K. Dobbins, you saw him limping today, and he's already getting fired up on Twitter. Never a good sign. Elijah Mitchell's hamstrung.
Hold on. With Dobbins, I saw the video, but what did he say on Twitter?
He said he was just saying, it wasn't a limp. It was just, I only need 1 good leg. Like,
JK.
It's just the mental part of it. I mean, you saw what happened earlier when he came out on Twitter and was complaining when they were going to put him on pup. He's like, "No, I'm ready to go. Why not put me out there?" Like he's clearly not ready to go. He's definitely something I've been avoiding.
Methinks thou doth protest too much. If he's this adamant on defending himself on Twitter and he gets triggered at the littlest reporter, the littlest video, maybe it's because he knows something is seriously wrong. And oh, by the way, the Ravens signed another running back this week.
Yeah, too. They signed Kenyon Drake, who's a bum. They have Mike Davis, who's a bum. But those guys are going to get work. If anything, that makes Lamar Jackson even more, of a guy to target in drafts because they're going to be running. They're going to be running still a ton. I just think Lamar Jackson in certain drafts is going to be definitely underrated compared to some of these other quarterbacks that are going. Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, I have no interest in them in the 4th round. They're both obviously extreme talents, but they don't need to be pushed up that much.
Deontay Johnson is the 509 selection tonight, followed by Breece Hall. Brandon Cooks goes off the board, 3rd straight receiver drafted by Team 11, and then Cam Akers, the 3rd running back on Team 12. I want to get back to that 509 pick of Deontay Johnson. You said that you are not a Deontay Johnson guy this year. Can you sort of expand on that, why you don't like Deontay Johnson?
He got paid, which is always a good thing. But the hype is on George Pickens right now. And I'm a George Pickens guy. my good friend Austin Martin got me on him early, and I've been getting a lot of cheap shares of him. He's starting to raise to,
Austin Martin was one of the first guys on George Pickens.
And people looked at him like he was crazy. He was blasting Twitter and blasting everybody on Twitter when they were disrespecting Pickens. Pickens, the scary part about Pickens is I'm on the clock, so let me make my pick real quick.
Yep, we'll get back to Pickens in a little bit.
To me, it's DK Metcalf or Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore, slam dunk for me. Easy. Keep it moving.
Okay, Elijah Moore is the pick here at the 607. It's Terp's fourth receiver. Get back to the George Pickens conversation. You were talking about Austin and getting for it.
I just feel like he's going to be the new alpha of the team. Like the quarterback situation still worries me. The offensive line still worries me. The questions that are new to Najee Harris still worry me. Chase Claypool's still there. So I mean, you got three guys who are. There's talks of Claypool playing the big slot. Mm-hmm. That can make him a lot more valuable. He's being ignored in drafts right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's going to get a lot of coverage that he normally doesn't get.
And Terp, I think part of the reason he's getting ignored is because Pickens is rising so much.
That's correct. Pickens is rising. I mean, Deontay Johnson has been an afterthought. Nobody's talked about him. There's a couple guys that we'll go over through this draft that nobody talks about. They're getting drafted high, but literally they are never in any conversation. Deontay Johnson's one of them. He's a guy that's just pretty much sitting in the fourth round, but nobody's talking about him.
I'll make this point about Deontay Johnson, and I'm guilty of this too. In Kentucky, I drafted like 10 teams this past weekend. I don't think I took Deontay Johnson on any of them. And the thing to keep in mind with Deontay Johnson, and part of the reason I don't like him, like, well, he doesn't have Big Ben anymore, and he's got Trubisky or Pickett or whoever. Well, Big Ben was pretty awful last year, and Deontay Johnson still made plays. So maybe I'm overrating the quarterback situation there, or overrating the lack of a good quarterback situation there, because Johnson made it happen with a bad quarterback last year. So there shouldn't be no reason he can't make it happen this year.
You are 100% correct. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. It's just, I don't know. Something about Deontay Johnson has me passing. George Pickens, a couple, it'll probably be 5 rounds later by the time, Vegas comes around and the bigger main events, live ones, obviously. Mm-hmm. So Pickens is to me more, and I actually like Claypool too. I just don't see, you saw a lot of Ben Roethlisberger 4 yard out, 4 yard out, 5 yard out, 6 yard out. Deontay Johnson calling them passes. I don't see that being something that's going to keep continuing.
I want to get through the 6th round. Then get a question from the YouTube chat. Alan Lazard at the 601. Damian Pierce goes at the 602 to 1911's third running back. Loading up on tight ends is Team 10, TJ Hawkinson to go with Darren Waller, Lamar Jackson at the 604, followed by Jalen Hurts at the 605. The rookie Drake London in Atlanta will go to Team 7. You already heard Elijah Moore go to Terp. Kyler Murray off the board to Team 5 after that. Chase Edmonds, the first running back drafted by Team 4 to go with their 3 receivers, their quarterback, and their tight end. Brandon Ayuk, the 5th receiver out of 6 picks for Team 3. Dallas Goedert is the penultimate pick of the 6th round. DK Metcalf, the 4th receiver selected in the first 6 rounds by Team 1. Aiden wants to know is there one guy, Terp, that you feel is being completely ignored in drafts, but we should be talking about a lot more than we actually are?
I actually was thinking about this week. The answer to that question to me is Christian Kirk. Mm-hmm. Nobody's talking about him. He just got paid a ton of money. To me, it makes
and
too
Lawrence
much
has
sense.
been targeting him a lot in preseason.
Lawrence, I just feel like he's a guy that's going to get peppered with targets. They just got rid of LaVisca. I mean, they added nobody. I mean, They have Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, and Christian Kirk. Obviously, Evan Ingram too, but something about Christian Kirk is an ETN.
Terp, you're coming up on deck here. We got a receiver and Adam Thielen going at the 701. Team 2 is doubled up on quarterback Joe Burrow to go with Patrick Mahomes. J.K. Dobbins goes with A.J. Dillon for the running back backfield for Team 3 here tonight. Elijah Mitchell, the San Francisco 49ers running back, is going to be the 2nd rusher chosen by Team 4. And Team 5 now has their 2nd rusher, and Ramondre Stevenson. You are on the clock, my friend.
So this pick is a little bit of a tough one because I don't want to get burned in a quarterback run. Mm-hmm. Do I think there's a chance that these guys come back? I do. But
and the other thing, and we'll get in this in a second, but remember, one team we just saw double up with quarterbacks. So that could force the issue a little bit more too. Not that I'm trying to shove you in one direction or the other.
Kind of stumped on this one.
Diggs, Lamb, Bateman, Moore are the receivers for Terp. He has ETN in his backfield, and George Kittle is his lone tight end right now at the 706.
I'm not going to dance with it. I'm just going to take Trey Lance.
You're going to dance
I've
with
been
Lance?
on him. I've been on him. I don't see there being any reason that I have Kittle already, obviously, with the stack. I don't see there being any reason to get cute here. Is there a possibility he makes it back? Of course there is, but I've been in a number of these where I got too cute at the quarterback position, and then we're bargain basement guys at the end, which could work out. But I get the stack. There's a one guy that I really, really, really was going to take, so I hope he makes it back. If he does, it'll be happy times. If not, we'll figure it out. Antonio Gibson was not that guy, even though Antonio Gibson going right after me. He's becoming a thing again.
He's becoming a thing again.
He's becoming a thing again. It's a question of, is the thing going to be worth it? Because I don't trust Ron Rivera, and I don't think anybody trusts Ron Rivera. And obviously, the unfortunate situation with Brian Robinson, I'm glad the guy's okay. Terrible situation. He's probably going to play, but I don't know when. But, I mean, is Antonio Gibson, are they just going to hand him the ball? And he's going to be the guy now? I don't see it. I mean,
go ahead.
9th round, 8th round, maybe 7th round. It's too rich for my blood.
Another thing to keep in mind, and I've been bringing this up today. Yeah, it's cool that Antonio Gibson now. It's cool for him that he, has the opportunity to put up big numbers here. But I don't think that just because Brian Robinson is not available at the start of the season, I don't think that's going to stop Ron Rivera, the mad scientist that he is, from utilizing a three-headed backfield. There could be somebody else that steps in which case, if that happens, maybe Antonio Gibson is going back to being overvalued. But you're right, Terp, he's definitely becoming a thing again, for sure. You go with Trey Lance here, Gibson the next pick, obviously. Zach Ertz, the number one tight end for Team 8. Tony Pollard and Josh Jacobs off the board, followed by your guy, Christian Kirk, that people, maybe Team 11 is watching.
He was the guy that I was really considering in round 7 that I hope would make it back. I knew he probably wouldn't, but I just didn't want to get caught in a quarterback run that could, lead to me just screwing up a good start that I've had so far.
Mason Spain commenting right now, you got the right San Francisco stack.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm a big Ayuk guy this year, not a big Debo guy. So to me, it's Kittle, Ayuk with Lance. Maybe mix in one of these guys late, to get, try to get a little cute. But so far, so good.
All right. So after Pollard goes, it's Josh Jacobs, then Kirk. Like we said, Kareem Hunt completes the end of the 7th round. Aiden wants you to comment on the auto drafting team from Team 10, the 10 spot right now. 5 running backs, 2 tight ends, and now Amari Cooper.
It's not that bad. I mean,
it's sort of like classic best ball, right?
I've seen a couple auto draft teams. I mean, I'm not going to say do it, but that haven't been like awful. I mean, I can see the team being competitive if the auto, fills it out correctly and helps them out. I mean, they only have one receiver, which is tough, but the tight ends and the running backs, what's wrong with them? I mean, it's probably not going to win the league, but I've seen a lot worse.
His name's escaping me now. We had him on the show, God, maybe 7 or 8 years ago on the HSFF Hour, but he had an unruly child that he was having a real tough time with when he was trying to be drafting, and his team ended up being auto drafted, and he moved up the overall leaderboard from like making the, his playoffs to being in the top 500 to getting into the top 100 to being in the championship round. And he was in 80th, then he was in 30th, then he was 8th overall. He had a bad final week, and I think he finished in the top 20. But his team was totally auto drafted, and he made it happen. So you can get away with an auto drafting team. You are not auto drafting. You are manually drafting, and you are manually on the clock right now.
So to me, I probably should be dancing in the running back streets, but I'm not going to dance there. I'm still going to take another receiver here. I read he's back to practice. I love his upside. He's a guy that I'm very, 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 very high on. Kadarius Toney will be my pick. Very, very happy about that one.
I drafted a team with Dave Gerzak in the KFFSC this past weekend. And we were actually deciding, because obviously, it's an arms race to try to get receivers in that format.
It's insane.
Yeah. And so we were deciding between Dalton Schultz and Kadarius Toney. And we actually already had, I think we had Mark Andrews on that squad already. And I said, I don't want to take another tight end this early. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, man, maybe we should have done Dalton Schultz instead of Toney. But then I saw Dave starting loading up on Toney, and I saw more people drafting Toney higher. So I think I might be a believer in him. The fact is, there's going to be windows where he's going to be on the field. I would assume he's just not playing in 17 games, but he'll probably play, hopefully, in the majority of those games and be pretty successful when he's out there. Even with the addition of Wan'Dale Robinson, Toney could have a breakout year.
I mean, if he could stay healthy, you saw the flash last year. The only worry with him is his health. If his health stays on point, he's a top 10, top 5 even potential guy if he plays all season. That's the question, because he's been banged up. And it's always a big worry.
Pair of tight ends lead off the 8th round here with Dawson Knox and Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet as the tight end 11 tonight, followed by Amari Cooper. Devontae Smith and Hunter Renfrow go to teams 9 and 8, respectively. The Magic Cord, Cordarrelle Patterson is the 4th running back drafted by team 7. You saw Dave take Kadarius Toney. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the 3rd running back selected by team 5. James Cook is the 3rd straight running back selected. After ignoring the position for the first 5 rounds, they have hit on Edmonds, Elijah Mitchell, and James Cook. Russell Wilson will be calling he will be the signal caller, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, as he goes at the 8-10 to team 3. DeAndre Hopkins is no longer in the available player pool. He joins A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Juju Smith-Schuster on the wide receiver core for team 2. Team 1 now on the clock. They already took 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds, but they've nailed 5 receivers within the last 6 rounds. Still no quarterback, still no tight end. Team 1 about to close out round 8 here, and they do so with a running back in Rashad Penny. Let's talk about this 8th round here. Seems like Cole Kmet's rising a little bit, don't you think, Terp, in drafts?
He was definitely one of my guys early. I got the first couple shows we did, I got him on both of the teams. He's definitely my highest owned tight end. I put a tweet out on this that he would finish with Irv Smith over Darren Waller and George Kittle. We'll see if that works out, because a lot of people said I was crazy, but I'm very, very high on him. He had a great preseason. He looks like he's, very in tune with Justin Fields. So I'm very, very high on I could see him going higher. I mean, he's definitely after the tier of Goddard and Hockenson. Not really Hockenson for me, but after that tier, to me, he's the best available option over Zach Ertz.
Dave Gladstone commenting in the chat here. He's loving team 1. I don't know if Dave is drafting team 1, but he definitely likes team 1. Couple of comments that he's a fan. Terp, what do you think about this? 9 rounds in, 6 receivers, 3 running backs. The construction is interesting. No quarterbacks or tight ends. We haven't really seen that quarterback run that you were talking about earlier. So maybe they get lucky here, but certainly a possibility to create a pretty dominant team here from the 1 slot.
Very, very, I don't have any problems with it. Not having a tight end now is a little, you have maybe 1 receiver too many. With McCaffrey and Javonte Williams, the Penny pick might be a little much. The upside I don't think is there in that offense. I just think that offense is stale. They're going to run the ball, but with Penny's health, I think you could have used that position, on a tight end, or even, one of the bigger quarterbacks that are left. I am up next, and I might do something a little weird.
Ooh, I love weird stuff. We've seen, strangely enough, 4 straight receivers to begin round 9 here. You have Lockett, Sky Moore, Robert Woods, and Chris Olave going off the board for teams 1 through 4. Tom Brady doubling up on quarterbacks is team 5 to go with Kyler Murray. And now Terp is on the clock.
So what I'm thinking about doing here is taking Dak Prescott. I know I have Trey Lance 2 rounds earlier, but the only thing that's giving me pause is the same buy as Trey Lance. That really shouldn't bother me. And I think I'm still going to take Prescott.
And you have CeeDee Lamb, too.
I have CeeDee Lamb, so I'm not really worried about bye weeks. I think this team's good enough I could take a Davis Mills at the end and be fine, or a Zach Wilson, obviously with Elijah Moore as my 3rd thing. So Dak Prescott's going to be my pick. It'll pretty much eliminate the quarterback position for a really long time. It's not something I've done so far. It's not something I'll do a lot, but to me, to lock up 2 above average quarterbacks and with 2 different, player profiles, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
with Lance, giving you the rushing upside and Dak just likely going to be throwing the ball around. Having Lamb, having Kittle, it makes a lot of sense. And hopefully it pushes a quarterback run coming up here to where guys that can fill out the rest of the team, as it just did right there with Aaron Rodgers, way too early in the 9th round. So hopefully this continues with a lot of these guys that are after me in 10 and 11 that don't have quarterbacks yet. The thought process was there to get them to push it up a little bit and to take the Justin Fields and the Cousins a little, a couple rounds earlier than they're supposed to. So we'll see if it works out.
Saints wide receivers have been kind of a roller coaster ride this offseason. Michael Thomas, it looked like he was, not practicing. It looked like it could be the start of another lost season. Now he's come on quite a bit. The Saints not only draft Chris Olave, but they add Jarvis Landry in free agency as well. All this leads me to the question here. What do you make of the 904 selection of Chris Olave this year, or in this draft, Terp? Is he going to make a dent with Landry and Thomas in that same wide receiver core in New Orleans?
He's definitely would have got consideration if it would have came to me. I think he is definitely the safest and also the highest upside guy. I mean, Michael Thomas, there's so many questions surrounding him. Is he still hurt? Is his head in the game? Do you trust Jameis Winston? He never really had a monster, target. I mean, he still has Jarvis Landry.
Yep.
Still has Chris Olave. And Thomas is going. Where did he go? In the 5th round. Give me Chris Olave 4 rounds later over Michael Thomas all day, every day. I know he's a rookie, but he's a talented rookie out of a very good wide receiver school. I'm on Chris Olave. I've been drafting him more because I was probably a little late to that party.
Yeah, I got him. It's always funny how you could see the ADP change when you're in Louisville for the KFFSC, because Friday and early Saturday you see where players like certain players or drafters like certain players, and then you see them move up the boards because then people are like, oh, well, he took him in the 6th round in the last draft. Now I got to give him in the 5th round. That's pretty commonplace. That happens there a lot, and that happened to me where I got Olave I think early on Saturday morning, and I don't think I ever got him again the rest of the time. Sky Moore has been playing special teams, punt returning. Did not get a target in the final preseason game with the Kansas City Chiefs. And this was Smith-Schuster and Malcruz Valdes-Scantling not playing. He was also playing behind Mecole Hardman and Justin Watson. He only caught 3 passes in preseason. And Dave, I got to ask you here, Sky Moore at the 902, man, I don't like that pick for team 2. Certainly seems like Moore is trending down, maybe more so than any of the early rookie receivers this year.
I actually am on the opposite of that. I'm a Sky Moore guy. We've talked about that. The reason I like the pick is because I just look at the roster construction. They don't need Sky Moore to be anything early. They have Juju, they have Higgins, they have Brown. DeAndre Hopkins and Sky Moore could be peaking at the same time. And if that happens with Patrick Mahomes, this team is, I mean, to me, 2 and 3, just looking basic, just real quick, are 2 teams that I'm very worried about because they both have very good structures. Stacks that I'm a very big fan of. There's questions, obviously, but I'm a big fan of both their starts.
But, I mean, when you consider the team construction, wouldn't Team 9 have been better served to draft a running back there, given they only have 1 in the first 9 rounds? Or is Taylor enough to carry that squad?
I feel like it's the perfect hero guy. I mean, they're probably going to do what I'm going to do coming up and just stockpile running backs. I mean, so quarterback run definitely working out right now.
By the way, just take you through the 9th round here. After Terp took Prescott, it was Aaron Rodgers, Miles Sanders, and Damian Harris. A couple of running backs go there. Miles Sanders to team 8, Damian Harris to team 9. Matthew Stafford off the board to team 10 is their number 1 quarterback, followed by a couple of rising rookie wide receivers in not only the best ball tournament at the FFPC, but the Football Guys Players Championship and the FFPC main event. George Pickens is going to be the number 5 receiver drafted by team 11, and Jahan Dotson is going to be the number 3 receiver picked by team 12 tonight. We talked about Dotson and quite frankly, we talked about Pickens a little bit. Let's talk about the other end of the spectrum. The grizzled veteran, Robert Woods. He gets traded from the Los Angeles Rams to the Tennessee Titans, who don't really throw the ball a lot. But given the fact that Treylon Burks has struggled, I look at Robert Woods, maybe not the worst pick in the world for team 3, because he could collect a lot of targets there.
It's definitely not a bad pick. It's definitely not a bad pick as your 4th, fifth receiver, sixth receiver.
Sixth, yep.
All right, I'm about to be on the clock. Let me just make this pick real quick. It's an easy one. I need a running back. Devin Singletary. Keep it simple. Back to the Robert Woods pick.
Yeah.
I like the way that, with me and Mr. Elliott having a bet between Robert Woods and Treylon Burks. Am I worried a little bit? A little bit. But I just feel like it's a rookie, initiation type of thing with Mike Rabel. He's the most talented receiver they got on that team.
Yeah.
They can try whatever they want to send him a message. You saw some flashes in the last preseason game. Seems like he's getting a little more positive press. The guys above him stink. They didn't add anybody in free agency or in the waiver pickups or whatever. Not anybody that that matters. They still don't really. Austin Hooper, I guess you could say, it's a tight end. Doesn't really excite me. I mean, I'm still on the Treylon Burks bandwagon.
And I'm off it, and I think I have been for some time, but that's okay. I've been wrong once or twice in my life for sure. We are into round 10 here. The picks that went off before Terp took Singletary were Naheem Hines, the team 12, who's loading up on running backs. That's their fifth running back chosen. Justin Fields will be starting at quarterback most weeks for team 11. Derek Carr goes to the Matthew Stafford-led team number 10. Chase Claypool and Rondale Moore, followed by Romeo Doubs, Devin Singletary, and then Tyler Boyd, Albert Okwuegbunam, and then Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Team 3 loading up on those receivers as they now have, through 10 rounds, they have 7 receivers. Count them, 7 receivers. Team 2 now has 2 tight ends, Dallas Goedert in the 6th round, and now Irv Smith in the 10th. Kirk Cousins, Irv Smith's real-life teammate, completes round 10 as Team 1 now has a quarterback as well. Tell us a little bit about the Singletary pick, because there's a bit of a three-headed monster in that backfield. Farrell always gives me all this crap because every time we have a guest on the HSFF I'm always asking him about that Bills backfield because I haven't found the answer I wanted yet. What's the answer, Terp? Is it just going to be a muddled mess?
The answer is not Zach Moss. It's not okay. Zach Moss. We can stop talking about Zach Moss. I mean, there's less some positive press and all that stuff. We had positive press on Trey Sermon. What happened to him today? He got cut. He was the hot back of the San Francisco backfield. And everybody bought into it like he was going to be the second coming. And, yeah, that didn't happen. They clearly cut him. So I think Zach Moss is that guy that's going to be phased out very quickly. James Cook is definitely the explosive young talent, but rookie running backs, they bring questions. Can they pass block, et cetera? Yep. And Singletary, you saw what he gave you in the playoffs. You saw down the stretch. He was the guy. I don't think a team that's ready to win now is going to just hand it over to a rookie running back. Eventually, maybe, but not right away.
We talk about a guy, it's not Zach Moss in the Bills backfield. I don't think it's Romeo Doubs in the Packers receiving core. I've seen too much negative stuff that Aaron Rodgers has said about the younger receivers when he's clearly referring to Doubs. Given an injury, then yeah, I think Doubs can be a difference maker. But for Rodgers, it's all about being mentally perfect, being in the right spot at the same time, at the right time. I don't like Doubs in the 10th round here. Tell us who we should like in the 11th as you're on the clock right now, Terp.
So to me, it's down to 2 players. Running back is my weakness, so I'm going to take, which will be the starter in Philadelphia, in my opinion, for most of the year, Mr. Kenneth Gainwell.
Spicy.
Miles Sanders did not practice again today. And if that continues by the time, most of us draft next week and, we get to Friday and Saturday with main event draft still going on. I mean, if Miles Sanders is out week 1, the Gainwell Express is going to be rising. It's going to be right near the Dameon Pierce, Express. Maybe not 5th, 6th round, but I could see Gainwell getting up in the 8th, 9th, which is probably a little high, but
if he is the lead back in Philly, that's
if he's the lead back on a guy that's missing week 1 who hasn't practiced in a couple weeks now,
yeah,
it's definitely something to watch and definitely something that will be a storyline in the next week, right before.
Absolutely.
Because next week, if Miles Sanders ain't back to practice, it's not a good sign for week 1.
The rest of the 11th round here, the start of the 11th round, Pat Freiermuth goes off the board as tight end 14. Not a bad way to do it if you're team 1, Dave. When you wait on both positions, you get Kirk Cousins, who in my opinion is an underrated quarterback, especially given his offense. And they just, traded for another first-round receiver today. I'm going to get your thoughts on that in a second. But Pat Freiermuth then now goes off the board, tight end 14 at the 11:01. Again, not optimal, but when you wait on both positions, this is what you get. And I think they could have done a lot worse. Jalen Reagor leaves your Philadelphia Eagles to the Minnesota Vikings.
Sad day.
Good riddance to Reagor, right?
I loved Reagor coming out of college. I was all aboard the Reagor train. It's one of my biggest L's that I could ever take. I'm taking it live right now. Jalen Reagor was a massive L for me. I called him a mini Tyreek Hill. I got ripped by pretty much every one of my friends today, and I was hiding. I didn't say much. It was bad. I still think he could be a player down the road. Clearly doesn't get it upstairs, and maybe isn't the player that I saw coming out. But yeah, I mean, they didn't need him. It was only a matter of time till they, found the trade partner to get rid of him. And yeah, it's a sad.
And they found one. And they
found one. And the worst part about the whole thing, if you remember, the Minnesota Vikings were laughing at him. Now they traded him for the guy the Eagles should have took. And things just work out in weird ways, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, it's wild. It's so wild. The 11:02 in this draft tonight, Kenneth Walker, followed by Rachaad White, pair of actually a trio of rookie running backs. Isaiah Pacheco goes off the board at the 11:04, followed by Melvin Gordon. You heard Terp and saw Terp take Kenneth Gainwell. Team 7 doubling up on quarterbacks now. Rodgers in the 9th, Jameis Winston in the 11th. Pair of tight ends off the board to Mike Gesicki and then Hunter Henry to teams 8 and 9. Treylon Burks as the second receiver for team 10. Trevor Lawrence to team 11, followed by Michael Carter in the 12th round. I almost called you Farrell. My apologies, Terp. Michael Carter in the 12th round versus Breece Hall, a guy you still like. Breece Hall in the 5th. Where does the value lie in that? What's the better way to spend draft capital between those two Jets running backs?
I still think it's Breece Hall. I think he's a value. I mean, 4th round, I think he was a good pick. I mean, I took him on the last draft. I think I was on here in the 4th round. I was happy about it.
Yeah.
I still think he's the better player. I still think it might take him a week or two, but it's only going to take one big breakout run for Breece Hall to take that job.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Carter's not that guy. I mean, I still think Michael Carter's going to be fine. He's going to be worked in. But I just don't see it as I think it's going to be more of a 70-30 Breece Hall by the time we get to week 4 or 5. And then after that, especially if the Jets are pretty good or okay, I mean, Hall's going to be the guy.
It's difficult for me to see what this Jets regime has done and in sinking all this draft capital into Breece Hall. It's difficult for me to see that and then not give him the opportunity to really take control of that job. Correct me if I'm wrong. Michael Carter is a 4th round pick, right? Day 3 pick.
I believe so. Yeah. 4th round. I mean, he had a solid rookie season, nothing spectacular, but he showed enough to even be in the conversation right now.
Right. And my point with Carter is a guy like him as a 4th round pick, he has to show the Jets that he can play, right? So opportunities might be light with him. Breece Hall has to show him he can't play. So they're going to give him a much longer leash.
They're going to give him all the opportunity. He has the higher draft capital.
Yep.
I am on the clock. I was hoping Treylon Burks came back, but the auto pick guy got me. To me, it's another easy pick. Running back's my weakness. Darrell Henderson, welcome to the team. I think that's pretty good value on him. I know that, there was worry about him and Akers. They're both back to practice. I saw. I'm not a buyer on Cam Akers. Henderson, 12th round versus Akers, 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
We just talked about that with the Hall Carter. Give me the opposite. I'll take Henderson. You saw, last year when he's in there and he's healthy, they will count on him. And with Cam Akers, coming back from the serious injury, he didn't look great last year.
No, he didn't.
So I'm good with it. I'm happy with the, Henderson makes my running back room look a lot better. With the receivers I already have, obviously the tight end and 2 quarterbacks, it gives me plenty of options with, a bunch of different things coming up here. So I'm definitely on pace so far.
12th round started off with a wide receiver run. Jacoby Myers goes at the 12:01, followed by Michael Gallup. Russell Gage then is the 12:03, followed by rookie Garrett Wilson as the number 6 receiver drafted by Team 9. Tua Tagovailoa joins Jalen Hurts in the quarterback room for team number 9. Tyler Algier is going to be off the board here as the number 5. Beg your pardon. Number 5 running back to Team 7. Terp took Darrell Henderson at the 12:07 tonight, followed by a rainbow here. Isaiah McKenzie, the receiver. Matt Ryan, the quarterback, joining Josh Allen on Team 4. Tyler Higbee is the number 1 tight end for Team number 3. Julio Jones joining Brown, Higgins, Smith-Schuster, Hopkins, and Sky Moore on Team 2's wide receiver roster. And then Gerald Everett, the second straight tight end drafted, and the only 2 tight ends drafted by Team 1. It's Pat Freiermuth and now Gerald Everett to complete round 12. Russell Gage having some issues with soft tissue injury in Tampa. Terp, is Julio Jones making his way up the boards, given that he is, shockingly healthy right now?
It looks that way. I mean, I've been on Russell Gage. He's definitely somebody that I was overexposed to early that might come back and burn me. I still think that he'll be fine. Hopefully, with these injuries are always soft tissue injuries are always a worry, obviously, with Jalen Waddle and, a couple other guys who are a little banged up. It's just a question of Tom Brady brought him there. Mm-hmm. Godwin's going to start off slow. I still think Gage is going to be highly, involved in the offense. They cut a bunch of guys. Tyler Johnson, who most people were surprised they got cut.
Absolutely.
I am on the clock. The guy that I was probably going to take just got taken, Joshua Palmer, but I'm fine with that. Nico Collins from Houston will be my pick. Big fan of him this year, especially in best ball, more than redraft. So he will be my pick here. And it also gives me a couple options coming back for things I'm trying to build.
Terp goes from targeting the 3rd wide receiver to for the Chargers to settling for the 2nd wide receiver for the Houston Texans. The rest of the 13th round, Alexander Madison, J.D. McKissick lead things off. Robert Tonyan, the 2nd straight tight end drafted by Team 3, joining Tyler Higbee there. James Robinson at the 13:04. And then you're looking at Josh Palmer, Nico Collins, now Khalil Herbert off the board. We have a question here. Aiden is posting this, getting back to the Algier pick, that he was on Algier prior to Falcons training camp, but he hasn't heard any buzz on him. Thoughts on him in round 12? I'll give you my thoughts. The fact that we haven't heard any buzz on a guy who had all the opportunity to win that backfield when you had Cordarrelle Patterson is his main threat, guy who broke down last year, and he's not a traditional running back. Probably not great news for Tyler Algier, and you can get him, and I'll look at the Fantasy Mojo on him right now, fantasymojo.com, at Fantasy Mojo on Twitter. That's Darren Armani, the godfather of the Pros versus Joes challenge, and we always use his ADP on fantasymojo.com for this. But you look at Tyler Algier on the ADP in this competition, 1303, running back 48. And then Magic Cord, you look at him where he's going, running back 33 in the 903. Terp, I like the value on Patterson a lot more than I like the value on Algier, even though Patterson's going earlier. Yeah,
Cordarrelle Patterson is a guy that is starting to get more of my liking. I wasn't on him early because he was going a lot higher. Now he seems to be falling right into where I would take him, especially he was in consideration when I took Tony, part of my build. I just feel like you said, Algier has had a quiet preseason. You heard a little bit of buzz early, and it's kind of fizzled out. And the only positive that he has going for him is he has nobody behind him. There is nobody else.
Right. Yep.
There is literally, honestly, I don't think I can name the guys behind Patterson and Algier.
Yeah, I don't think I could either.
And the worst part about it all is that guy behind him might be the best free agent pickup by the end of the year.
It could be.
It's the truth.
I think it's John Settle, Jamal Anderson there. I think Warwick Dunn, Devontae Freeman, all behind those guys in the Atlanta backfield. These are the only Falcons running backs I can name at this point. I'm looking at the depth chart right now. We forgot about Damian Williams, who also signed a free agent contract to be the Falcons ball carrier. Avery Williams also there in Atlanta.
Damian Williams is a name, man. That guy I feel like has been around for 30 years.
Yep. Yeah, totally. And if he gets the opportunity, which he may not, but if neither one of those guys can get it together, be it Patterson and Algier, then maybe you're right. Maybe Damian Williams is going to be a big-time pickup off the waiver wire. The 13th round now complete. After Terp took Nico Collins, Khalil Herbert went off the board, followed by Jamal Williams. Devontae Parker to team number 9, and Jalen Tolbert, the 3rd straight receiver, drafted by team number 10. Then you're looking at David Njoku and Jarvis Landry to complete the 13th round. Tell us a little bit about why you like Josh Palmer, because I feel like while his value would skyrocket if Allen or Williams was to miss time, there's probably a role for him as the third receiver, even when both those guys are healthy, right?
I think there's a role for him no matter what. I think he's clearly the number 3 guy. Obviously, he's probably 4th on targets behind Eckler, Allen, and Williams. But Williams, I mean, he seems to be always banged up, and everybody's predicting the Keenan Allen train that, crashed this year.
Yeah.
So if that happens, Palmer looks like the guy, that could, take the next step, especially he's an injury away from being a every week starter. In obviously season-long leagues and best ball, he'll be, an impact type of guy. Well, that kind of sucked. I really wanted Evan Ingram.
Dave there's a lot of buzz on Evan Ingram lately. It sure seems like Dave is on the clock. You're on the clock right now. You have 6 receivers to your name, 4 running backs, a pair of quarterbacks, and a tight end. Who is the 1407 pick going to be in this draft?
So I was planning on taking a tight end here. It was going to be Evan Ingram or Brevin Jordan. Both of those guys got taken. Not thrilled about that. So we're going to take another running back here. It's just a question of who. It's either going to be Mostert or TDP. I have a ton of TDP. I don't really trust Mostert.
Well, Sony Michel and Trey Sermon both leaving those backfields today. Sony Michel now with the Chargers, and Trey Sermon looking for work currently.
I'm going to take Raheem Mostert. I'm really not thrilled about it.
Farrell Elliott is thrilled with that pick.
A lot of people like him. A lot of people that I know have been drafting him more. I'm a Chase Edmonds guy. He's a guy that I feel like Chase Edmonds is the running back to take the next step this year to get up in the, top flight running backs. Obviously, if he can stay healthy, and the new coach trusts him. But they don't really have anybody. Sony Michel's gone. So a team that I think is going to run the ball a lot, Mostert, if he can stay healthy, coming from, McDaniel, in San Francisco, he has the familiarity there. As my 5th running back in this build, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, Dave Gladstone in the YouTube chat, by the way, loving that pick as well. He's a big fan of going with Raheem Mostert there. Moving on in this, let's recap the 14th round leading up to that Mostert pick. You had Mecole Hardman, followed by Brevin Jordan, who Terp already named, 1402 for Jordan. DJ Chark going to Team Auto at the 10 spot tonight, 4th straight receiver drafted by them, 5th overall. Wan'Dale Robinson, rookie out of Kentucky, now in New York. He goes at the 1404. Evan Ingram, the other guy Terp was looking at, that is the 3rd tight end drafted by team number 8 tonight. In fact, there are 2 teams, Team 11 and Team 8, that already have 3 tight ends on their squad. I believe everybody has at least 1 tight end. Alec Pierce after that to Team 7. You heard Terp take Raheem Mostert. KJ Hamler, a guy who's been climbing boards. And then Brian Robinson, back-to-back Robinsons for Team number 4 in the 13th and 14th. Austin Hooper, the 3rd consecutive tight end drafted by Team 3. Higbee in the 12th, Tunyon in the 13th. Now Austin Hooper in the 14th. Jerick McKinnon, 2nd straight running back drafted by team number 2. That is only their 4th running back, 14 rounds in, as they loaded up on receivers in the middle part of the draft. They also have 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends on their squad. And then KJ Osborne, the final pick of round 14. There are a lot of players I want to talk with you about here. And I guess, Terp, we'll start with Brian Robinson. Are you surprised to see him go tonight at the 1409, knowing that he made it to the 53-man roster? He hasn't been IR'd, and Washington hasn't ruled him out this season. But would you be willing to load up on a pick for a guy who's facing such unknown health issues right now in the 14th round?
The upside's not worth the pick, in my opinion. I mean, he was always going to be – this is where he would get drafted, in my opinion. He may go a little higher normally. Mm-hmm. With this uncertainty surrounding him, with this build, I mean, those running backs are – I mean, Chase Edmonds, obviously I'm a big fan of. But after that, Mitchell not playing at all preseason. Is he back? Is he healthy? You don't know. James Cook, question mark. Pacheco, question mark, who's literally been real quiet lately, which is a little surprising. James Robinson, we don't want to talk about that guy. And Brian Robinson, obviously, just coming off the injury. So, I don't know. To me, it's a wasted 14th round pick. Maybe if you take him in the 19th, 20th, you could say, maybe I get him late in the season if Gibson just sucks, but he's not for me. No.
A couple of KJs go off the board in the 14th round. You're getting ready to pick here shortly, so I want to pick your brain on both of those because Hamler is moving upwards, given that Tim Patrick is going to be out for the year, and KJ Osborne is now dealing with another receiver in the receiver room in Minnesota. We'll get to that in a little bit. You are on the clock right now. Noah Fant at the 15:01, Eno Benjamin, Mark Ingram, Christian Watson, the rookie from Green Bay, followed by Mo Alley Cox. Terp, make some magic here at the 15:06. What are you thinking?
I have not taken this guy once. I need a tight end. Do I trust this pick? No. Do I think this guy, is going to be a, superstar? No. But he's got a lot of preseason pub. As an upside type of guy, I was going to take Mo Alley Cox. He got taken in front of me. So I'm going to take Isaiah Likely.
Oh, boy.
Just hope something pans out with him where he gives me some sort of value.
I feel like this is a FOMO pick for you, like because you haven't drafted him a whole lot, and in case he is something, now you at least have him on a team, right?
It's more of just me waiting a little bit too long on tight ends, and yeah, it's not something I'm going to be like excited about, but I'm probably going to have to take a couple more guys here coming up to offset that a little bit. Dave Gladstone was talking about Hayden Hurst, but they just signed OJ Howard real quickly after he got cut.
Right.
I can't mean they're really excited about Hayden Hurst, even though I do like Hayden Hurst as a player. So Likely to me is all the guys that are left. Has a little bit of upside. Obviously, with a Mark Andrews injury, he has a ton of upside. With the questions of the receiving position, maybe they're talking him up, but to get him in the 15th round, it's not going to hurt me.
Logan Thomas going to pick after Isaiah Likely. Let's get back to the KJs in the previous round. Hamler, are you bumping him up on your boards, given that it seems like a lot of high-stakes players are doing that after the Tim Patrick injury, as a guy now who, if Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy were to miss time, Hamler could be a very interesting player.
He is, but, I mean, I don't know. He's not a guy that I've been drafting a ton so far. I just think, obviously, coming back, they've been, baby him a little bit. He hasn't really played much. He's been practicing, good and grand, but until he shows me he can stay healthy, I just don't think the upside's there. We talked about guys that nobody's talking about early on. Jerry Jeudy's another name that has been just trashed in drafts. I'm still a Jerry Jeudy guy. I own him in a lot of leagues. I will be drafting him in the main events coming up. So I have no issues with the Jerry Jeudy, trash, because to me, if I can get him in the 5th round of drafts, I'm thrilled about that. But Hamler's a guy, 14th round. I guess you can't really go wrong with that. It's not really a bad pick.
Real quick on this, Terp, because I think I know your answer. The Jalen Reagor trade to Minnesota today. Jalen Reagor is going to have no bearing on KJ Osborne this season, right? Or am I wrong?
I would be shocked if he does.
Okay.
If he does, I mean, it is funny, though. Eagles home opener against Minnesota.
Yeah.
On Monday Night Football. I mean, it's just the weird how these things play out.
Roger Goodell commanded that this trade had to be done today. If
you could have picked any other team in the league, the Reagor news wouldn't even be news. He's going to the team that made fun of him when the Eagles took him, and took the guy that the Eagles should have took, who's now the best receiver in football.
Yeah, it's true.
And after the trade, his first game back is against the Eagles Monday Night Football home opener. I mean, you can't draw that script any better. He is going to get. I'll be there. I'm going to try at the boom because I'm a Reagor guy. But
right. Oh, you can't.
Hopefully, if he catches one touchdown or returns one punt for a touchdown, oh man, it is going to be bedlam in that stadium.
It's the game-winning touchdown too.
I can't. I shouldn't say that out loud.
I'm not gonna speak that into existence.
People will lose their minds. It would be insane if that happened. For all our sanity, it won't be.
Right, exactly. Robbie Anderson after Logan Thomas here in the 15th round. Mac Jones, Kenny Golladay, Paris Campbell complete the 15th round. I actually should say Jonnu Smith completes the 15th round, the second tight end chosen by team number 12. We are on to the 16th round. I have been ignoring this for a long time. Let's bring it up right now. Aiden wants to know that he knows you do not like James Conner in drafts this year. But does that mean that you like Eno Benjamin as his potential backup?
He's been getting a lot of positive camp press.
Mm-hmm.
I have been more on the Darrell Williams bandwagon. There was a little worry about him getting cut.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. He made the team. I still think he's the guy. I'm not a James Conner guy. We've talked about the Cardinals a bunch of times, even though I got to say on air, I've been drafting Kyler Murray a little bit more than I normally would.
Are you warming up to the Cardinals offense, or are you still down on them?
To me, I'm on the clock. Let me get this out of the way real quick. I'm shocked he's still here, especially after the Trey Sermon news. I'm pretty much going to complete my running back, TDP. I don't know if I missed something today, but to me, this seems like great value for him. No Trey Sermon. Jordan Mason, I think, is a rookie getting a little bit of press, but they drafted this guy higher than most people thought, so they definitely believe in him. They cut Trey Sermon. They did not add anybody. I'll take him here and be happy about it.
Tyrion Davis-Price now adding to Terp's impressive stable of running backs that he basically started building in the 10th round after Etienne early gets Singletary, Gainwell, Darrell Henderson, Raheem Mostert, and now Tyrion Davis-Price. Getting back to the conversation that we were just having about Eno Benjamin, you are officially a Darrell Williams guy, and you're still mostly staying with, but from the Cardinals offense, but maybe getting a few more Kyler Murray shares.
Definitely some more Kyler Murray. Marquise Brown in best ball is not a bad pick at all. I don't have much DeAndre Hopkins. I'll say that now. I think there's a great possibility it could burn me later in the season, with some of these guys who are building the DeAndre Hopkins teams with, multiple receivers start, and having him as your fourth could be dangerous when it comes to the money rounds. But I've took my stand, and I just don't I think that team's going to blow up this year. Kyler Murray obviously has the rushing upside, and he's still a very talented player. But him calling plays in the preseason, like, what are we trying to prove here? Kingsbury's a showman. I thought when he came in, he was going to show more. He's been a complete moron so far since he's been a coach. There's been plenty of spots where that team has been extremely talented on both sides of the ball, and they just can't figure it out. That playoff game last year, it was a disgrace.
Dearness Johnson, why don't you just stop sugarcoating it and tell us how you really feel, Terp?
When it comes to Kingsbury, I could go on because I was at Kingsbury. I thought, he was going to be better than Chip Kelly. He was going to figure it out, with the offense, and it was going to be Kyler Murray was the perfect fit. Those receivers, everything just seemed perfect. And, it's been a disaster.
Right after you took Tyrion Davis-Price, Dearness Johnson goes, followed by Isaiah Spiller, Jeff Wilson, Deontay Foreman. We are now on the final pick of the 16th round with Team 1 right now. And it is going to be Jameson Williams, Jared Goff leading off round 17. I want to get your thoughts on why Tyrion Davis-Price over Jeff Wilson when it has been announced that Wilson is going to be the backup to Elijah Mitchell.
It was announced that Trey Sermon could have been the backup to Elijah Mitchell.
That's true.
It's hard. Like last year, I got caught up in them. Like we talked about it, the Terrace Marshall, the preseason, the Marquise Callaway, the preseason hype guys that got pushed up too much and then totally flamed when it counted. Callaway, Marshall. This year could be Romeo Doubs. It could be Pacheco. I mean, you've seen a lot of guys get pushed up rounds that they probably shouldn't because of good situations. I just think that the draft capital with TDP, I think it was the 4th round, 5th round. They still liked him more than a lot of other teams did to take him. They cut Trey Sermon, so they clearly believe in him a little bit. I don't see the guy playing special teams. I could see him and the Jeff Wilson, as talented as the guy is, let's be serious. He can't stay healthy.
It's true. He cannot.
When he's out there, real solid player, but he can't stay healthy. And I'll take a guy with the unknown of TDP. He's one of my highest owned running backs, in best ball. A lot of free shares pretty much that I've got out of him. I've never really had to spend a ton to get him. So I'm happy with where I got him here. I think it's pretty late compared to where he's been going. I could be wrong. But, yeah, I mean, I'm happy with him over Wilson, long-term for me.
Tyrion Davis-Price over the last couple of days has an ADP of 1607. So you actually got him right at ADP.
I'm wrong.
So there you go. So I get what you're saying about that, and that makes sense. And obviously, Davis-Price is the shiny new toy. We not only has Jeff Wilson been unable to stay healthy, we kind of know what to expect in him too, as well. So I think that there's something to be said for that. I don't believe I got into the 16th round here, so I'll just tell you all the picks that went off besides Tyrion Davis-Price. Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield off the board to Team 12 and Team 11. Marvin Jones, the sixth straight receiver drafted by Team 10. Zamir White, and then Van Jefferson, a guy I drafted a lot in Kentucky, by the way. Carson Wentz, the third quarterback off the board to Team 7. You heard the TDP pick right here with Terp taking him. That was the first of a 5 running back run. Dearness Johnson, Isaiah Spiller, Jeff Wilson, Deontay Foreman, and then Jamison Williams to end things. And Terp, you solved your bye week problem here at quarterback in round 17.
Yeah, I feel like no matter what, Davis Mills will be the starter till week 9, and that's really all I care about. I have Nico Collins, so if there's a spike week in there, that helps too. It's definitely something that I was trying to plan with the Brevin Jordan, and then Davis Mills pretty much where I got him.
Right.
That was the overall plan. I'm a fan of the Texan stack, this year because they're free. Obviously, if you don't get Brandon Cooks, but the rest of the guys with Collins, Jordan, and Mills, we've talked about a bunch of times. So yeah, I saw my bye week issue. Most people would say don't worry about it, but this team, the way it's structured, especially getting all these running backs I did, to fill out the room, I don't want to be sitting there in week 9 and week 7 with like a troublesome bye week for me. So I want to make sure I'm covered to where I'm not putting up like a 40 points because I don't have anybody out there.
Team 8 just chose the newest Baltimore Raven, Kenyon Drake. Team 8 is also the team that chose Zach Ertz at the 7:08 tonight as their number 1 tight end. Jake Valish, I know I'm butchering your name. I do it every single time. Jake Valish wants to know if anyone's worried about Ertz sitting out training camp. Trey McBride, the rookie, might be relevant sooner than we all expected. Terp, what's your take on that? I think Ertz is a veteran, and it's a management thing. I'm not too worried about him. But Mason Spain also pointing out if Vegas had odds on the tight end most likely to have his owners regret drafting him, Ertz would be the favorite there. I don't necessarily know if I go that far. I certainly understand. I don't know if I go that far, but I think Ertz is just being managed right now. I'm not too concerned about him.
He's definitely being managed, but I mean, I don't like the word hopeful in front of anybody when it comes to week 1. Him and Rondell Moore, which the Rondell Moore thing definitely has my eyes moving because he's one of my highest owned guys. But it definitely has me worried. Do I think he'll be out there? Yeah, but if you're the Cardinals, why are you going to rush him back? Calf injuries are no joke. And if he re-injures that, you could be looking at a multiple week thing. And then by the time he's back, he might not be relevant with Hopkins coming back off suspension. So I think they're going to – I would say it's 50-50 if Ertz plays, and I would probably lean on the no week 1.
For week 1. Jared Goff was in the first pick in the 17th round. Sammy Watkins and Corey Davis going off the board after that, followed by Hayden Hurst, who suddenly has company in Cincinnati with one O.J. Howard. He goes at the 1704. Rex Burkhead is the pick after that. And then Davis Mills, a couple of Texans teammates as Terp takes Davis Mills there. Taysom Hill off the board as the third tight end chosen by team number 7. Kenyon Drake, Trey Sermon. Kenyon Drake, who just was unemployed. Trey Sermon, who currently is unemployed. Ryan Tannehill is the third quarterback drafted by Team 10. Captain America, Chris Evans, goes at the 17-11 tonight. And then Deshaun Watson off the board at the 17-12. What's sort of your stance on Deshaun Watson in a best ball tournament like this where you know he will never play for you until at least, week 13?
I've drafted him not one time in 203. I don't even know how many drafts I'm in now. I would say probably close to 300, but he has not been on my team once. I understand the thought process behind him, especially in best ball. But the only problem with that is you have to do a 3 quarterback build. So if he can get him in like the 19th, 20th round and you have like a Cooper or Peoples-Jones or David Bell type of situation, I mean, take the shot. If your team gets there, you have something that nobody else has.
That's true.
I mean, if you look at it like that, but you got to get there first. And it could take him a couple games. It's not like people act like when he comes back in week 12, it's like, all right, he's going to go put up 300 yards and 3 TDs and a rushing touchdown and everything's going to be great. He's going to go right into that Texans environment. That's going to be hostile. They're going to be coming at him. He might not be ready for that. And then you're going to be counting, like, you really going to put him out there, and count on him? like especially in redraft. I think he's undraftable there.
Right.
Best ball, like I said, 19th, 20th round, fine, but that's it.
We are almost halfway through round 18. Curtis Samuel goes to team 12 with the 1801. Chuba Hubbard and Amir Abdullah are off the board with that. Hubbard in Carolina, Amir Abdullah in Las Vegas. Devin Duvernay, Dontrell Hilliard, and Marcus Mariota are the lead-ups to Terp's 1807 pick.
I need a tight end. I think there's only one, maybe two left with upside. I also like a receiver here. Let's check my bye weeks just for fun.
Terp right now, as a reminder, right now has 6 receivers on his squad. He is loaded up at running back after not drafting a whole lot early. He now has 6 running backs as well. 3 quarterbacks are in his stable, and he does indeed have 2 tight ends.
My tight end selection will be Tyler Conklin. He's been getting a lot of positive press. I like him with this build with Kittle and likely. Am I thrilled about my tight end room? No. Does Kittle need to stay healthy for this team to really take the next step? Absolutely. But if the likely press and the Conklin press is positive and it continues in the regular season, the room could look a lot better than it is. It's definitely my weakest position, but I'm okay with that. You know,
but I feel like likely and Conklin late, that's like $200,000 picks right there, right?
100%. They're definitely, you know, shots in the dark. And let's just hypothetically say I make it to, you know, the championship rounds or the, you know, the 15, 16, 17 rounds, and Mark Andrews misses a game or two. That's a whole different, it brings a whole different avenue in there when I have Kittle and likely. It could be, you know, definitely a positive setup. You know, I don't really need likely, hopefully, for a while. Hopefully he has a value since week 1. That'd be great with this build, but tight end is definitely my weakest position, especially the backups. I'm not worried about running back. Definitely not worried about receiver. So far, very, very happy.
Trey McBride, the pick after Terp took Tyler Conklin, Nick Westbrook-Akina, then Zach Wilson, Cameron Brate, and Kenny Pickett complete the 18th round. Now, I was going to make a joke about this earlier. I'm glad I didn't, because Jake Valish, a very talented drafter, just brought this up. You have Trey Lance. Danny Gray is still out there in the 19th round. Do you like him at all, pairing him with Lance here?
We know he's there. Jake is literally in every draft that I'm in. I'm shocked he's not in this one. Extremely talented.
I think he's drafted KFFSC tonight, isn't he? Is that
hopefully? Because I every time I do one of these, he's sitting in this draft, and I'm just like, please. It's between him and Bitcoin. Like, my man, I feel like he's in every draft. Whether it's, you know,
every draft,
FFPC,
every platform,
best ball, football guys, main event, that guy is in there, and he is a talent. Every time I see him, I'm like, geez, I don't want to draft against you again.
Every time I think he can't get into more leagues the following year, he somehow does. And by the way, I was hanging out with BipLab at the after the Bare Knuckles draft in Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas last year. He paired up with Vince Staffolino, and I was talking. Vince was in Kentucky, and I was talking with Vince about this. And BipLab, I don't know what it is, but that guy talked a mile a minute about his team at the Bare Knuckle, like afterwards. I learned so much, and I forgot so much because he talks so fast, and I couldn't get it all into my mind. But he is one of the most talented drafters out there. Probably should be doing some streams with him every now and then. You just made a pick, and it's a wide receiver out of Jacksonville.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, I mean, Christian Kirk's a guy I like a lot, but there's not really much behind him. You know, Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, and who? Like, Evan Ingram's obviously there at tight end position. So to me, you saw flashes from Zay Jones last year with the Raiders. I mean, he could give you a couple spike weeks. It's possible. He's my 7th receiver. It'll likely be maybe one more receiver. I have not decided yet. It might be the guy we just spoke about. If he makes it, it might not be. There might be another player on that team that I like, who I've been drafting a little bit too. But yeah, Zay Jones to me has upside this pick. You know, as my 7th receiver, you know, with the top 5 the way they are, I'm happy.
We have by the way, I'll just rattle these off right away. After the my screen just went black. Hang on one second. Sorry. Sony Michelle, 1901. David Bell, 1902. Kyron Williams, 1903. Velas Jones, Darrell Williams, and then Zay Jones. That's the pick there. Randall Cobb and Donovan Peoples-Jones goes after that. We do have a question from Ronnie Quelhole. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I'll post it in the chat so you can see it and give me your best pronunciation. He was in this draft. He's drafting at the 11 spot tonight. Dave, what do you think about his team? Because he was next to that auto drafter. He ends up getting Fields, Lawrence Mayfield, Komet, Njoku, and Brevin Jordan. Gets Mixon, Barkley early, adds Dameon Pierce here in the 6th round, gets Chris Evans and Chuba Hubbard. Receivers Moore, Robinson, Cooks, Kirk, George Pickens, Michael Gallup, Paris Campbell. I like some of the upside mixed in with some of the high floor guys. I think Team 11 had a solid draft tonight.
I have absolutely nothing negative to say about Team 11. It pretty much is a build that I would do myself. He got 2 tight ends that I really like a lot. Actually, 3.
Yep.
I mean, he's definitely. I'm going 2, 3, 11, and myself, obviously, because I'm just me.
It's your team.
It's my team. I can't say it sucks.
Right.
I mean, Team 11, very, very nice. I mean, stacks, all 3 quarterbacks. You know, Lawrence with Kirk, Fields with Komet, and obviously Mayfield with Moore. I would have probably took Swift over Mixon, but that's just me. There's nothing wrong with the Mixon pick. I don't have any negative thing to say about it. You know, receivers, Cooks, Robinson, Moore, all very high. You know, Pickens, obviously the flavor of the week. Paris Campbell, Gallup, you know, they don't really need him right now. Big fan. Team 11, very good.
Dave Gladstone loves the DJ Moore, Allen Robinson, Brandon Cook selections as well. I'm screwing up the draft board here. Let me just fix this so everybody can see it.
We got 1 pick left.
I know, but I still want everybody to see it. I don't want to.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. So to complete that round, round 19, it was DPJ and then Mitch Trubisky, Marlon Mack, Matt Breida, and Ronald Jones. That completes the 19th round. We are on to the final round of this draft of the Best Ball Tournament number 4 live draft coverage here on the FFPC YouTube channel. Myself and Dave Terpoilli, AJ Green 2001, Desmond Ridder at the 2002, and Daniel Bellinger at the 2003. We gave a lot of props to Ronnie for his team at 11. What about him taking another quarterback, a 4th quarterback here in the 20th round?
I don't hate it. I mean, most people will say that build's crazy. He might be getting a little crazy, but when it comes to Ridder, I mean, he's a guy that's probably going to be the starter down the stretch. So I always look at these drafts, especially like in these rounds we've talked about before, 19th, 20th round, mostly the 20th, is you should always take a guy that is not being drafted, a guy that is not on people's radar. And that's what I'm going to do coming up here, hopefully. A guy that has not been drafted in most of these that could have that big 20-point spike week. So my pick will be Danny Gray is in consideration here. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not in consideration. It's come down to 3 guys. Danny Gray. Do I take a 7th running back with Jalen Warren? Obviously getting some positive presses to back to Najee Harris. It's a potential thing, but to me, with the Rager move, Quez Watkins has potential with the speed that he brings to the offense. You know, A.J. Brown isn't always the healthiest. Devonta Smith, you know, has some injuries in camp. I could see him hitting a couple deep shots, and deep shots could win you $200,000. Quez Watkins will be my final pick.
Welcome to the Terp squad, Quez Watkins. This is a guy, wasn't he like a really high, like people were blowing fab budgets early on last year, weren't they?
Early, and it didn't really work out for him.
No.
I mean, the Jalen Hurts uncertainty, you know, you could see, but you also saw some flashes, and they clearly believe in him. They clearly believe in Zach Pascal, and they don't have another receiver currently on the team. So you don't really see many teams keep 4 receivers. So in a draft like this, I'll take my chances with an upside play of Quez Watkins, you know, in hopefully the money rounds down the stretch, and a not guy who won't be owned by anybody else. Most of these drafts, he's not drafted. And if he is, he's in the same position where I'm drafting him. So a lightning in the bottle pick is what you always should do in these, 20th rounds. Like we talk about it again. AJ Green, why?
Yeah.
What's best case scenario?
Right. Boston Scott after Bellinger, by the way, in this draft. Jamison Crowder.
He was under consideration too.
Scott?
He was. Just to sort of shore up what I think is going to be the Eagles' backfield.
I know Farrell Elliott is a fan of Boston Scott. Has been for
He
a couple
scores
years.
touchdowns. He always finds a way.
He always finds a way. Jamison Crowder, the final pick for team number 8 tonight. Adam Troutman, you saw Terp take Quez Watkins. Laviska Shenault, Joshua Kelly, Malik Willis, the third quarterback drafted by team 3, joining Russell Wilson and Zach Wilson. So 3 Wills at quarterback there. Samaje Perine, the penultimate pick of the draft, followed by another guy that Terp was considering, Jalen Warren, ostensibly the backup to Najee Harris in Pittsburgh. The draft is done. As we look at your team, Terp, Trey Lance, Dak Prescott, Davis Mills are your quarterbacks. Travis Etienne, Devin Singletary, Kenneth Gainwell, Darrell Henderson, Raheem Mostert, Tyrion Davis-Price at running backs. Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, Kadarius Toney, Nico Collins, Zay Jones, and Quez Watkins at receiver. Tight ends are George Kittle, Isaiah Likely, and Tyler Conklin. I would say if 1 or 2 of your running backs pan out and you get either Likely or Conklin to be a top 15 guy this year, the rest of your team's sitting really good, man.
I'm very, very happy. Can't say much negative about the team. The Likely Conklin thing has me a little worried, but if I can just get one of them, just to, like you said, one of them to be a top 15 guy, the running backs, I'm all aboard the Etienne train. We talked about that. We know that. If he is the guy that I think he is, I'm going to have a lot of shots when it comes down to it at the end. Yeah,
no question. What's the grade you'd give your team tonight?
It's right in between the B+, A-. I'm probably going to give it an A-. It would be higher. I'm very happy with what I did with the Prescott Lance thing. It's not something I've done a lot. Usually it's one stud quarterback and then just take 2 guys or, a Trevor Lawrence type of situation.
Right.
But to get Prescott, who is still an elite quarterback, and I'm a Trey Lance guy, I might have taken him around early, but I didn't want to get caught in drafts that we've seen so far. Davis Mills is a guy that I've been filling a lot of rosters out with. I think he's safe on a bad team. It's going to be throwing a lot.
I think he's a good bet. He's a great best ball pick late because
at the end of the day, I need him to make it to week 9.
Right. Yeah.
After week 9, I don't really care about him. Obviously, I want him to be a stud all year, but get me to week 9 as a starter, and then after that, whatever you do, you do.
Okay, Terp, let me in on this because Aiden and I were briefly talking today, but I was busy and I couldn't pay full attention. Is there a chance that we do some more live draft coverage this coming weekend? Is that
we definitely will be doing a couple more. I think we talked today, and it looks like Sunday, time to be determined. We will be doing a football guys.
Okay.
And then we will be doing a main event, live main event. Not me personally, but we'll be commenting and, giving our criticism and telling teams how much they suck, when they're spending $2,000. I believe Monday, I think he said that's still time to be determined, and there's probably going to be something we're going to try to figure out with the Vegas thing. Because unfortunately, sadly to say, I will not be in Vegas this year. Breaks my heart, but baby shower the following week. I'm sad about it. It's one of the first years that I haven't been there, non-COVID related. But I will be back next year. But we're going to try to figure out something to do with the live coverage of the drafts that are live and try to get a little commentary there to make things a little bit more, fancy.
Hey, Terp, one final question here for you. Flies Beats is in the chat room right now. He started off with Eckler Diggs. He's looking at either Keenan Allen, James Conner, or Nick Chubb in the 3rd round. I'm guessing you're going to say Allen because I know you don't like Conner, and you don't strike me as a Nick Chubb guy.
I don't have any Nick Chubb. I don't have any James Conner. I was going to say none of the above, but it would be Josh Allen if I had to pick. I would definitely take other guys over those 3. But Josh Allen would be, depending on the scoring and all that stuff, Josh Allen's the answer.
By the way, Ronnie, who was drafting in the 11th spot, also wants to know if we're doing any live coverage in Vegas. We're still trying to figure that out right now. We've never technically done it before. I believe Better Sports Network is going to be out there, and I'll be doing some stuff with them. I don't know if live draft coverage is going to be included in that, but there could be some other live draft coverage that we do. And if Terp or I are not able to do any live draft coverage this weekend, I believe Aiden is ready to step in and guide the ship as we bring you up until
he's definitely ready.
He's ready, yeah. And we only have 10 days left in the drafting season, so like
10 days. This weekend's going to be nuts. I mean, draftathon. I mean,
absolutely.
All these main events, getting this filled. I mean, it's going to be a wild weekend of drafting, and you're going to get a lot of new faces that might not really know what they're doing. So if there's ever a time to get in and getting these drafts, it's definitely now.
Or grab another team, right? If you're
grab as many teams as you can, and if it's not a main event team, there's plenty of football guys teams that are available, and plenty of best ball teams that are available.
This tournament, Superflex Best Ball Tournament, which, by the way, I want to, before we, maybe I can break some news here with the FFPC tonight, as I look at.
I love breaking news.
All right, so I believe the Superflex Best Ball Tournament 2 has sold out, because I'm looking at the page right now, the home page.
Nobody available.
I take that back. There are 27 spots available left in the Superflex Best Ball Tourney 2. And
that'll be done by the end of the night.
I will tell you this right now. When that sells out, and it will sell out, there just might be a Superflex Best Ball Tourney number 3, $35 entry fee. That's just putting that out there. I am not saying that's news. I would say that it's a really good possibility that happens. So
it's been a big hit. A lot of people are big fans of it. I have a bunch of teams in there. It's definitely something you need to get into. There's 27 teams. Like, get in there now. Don't wait on these. Like I said, you're going to get a lot of people who might not know the scoring format, who might be quarterback drafting early guys.
People who haven't seen these live streams and people who haven't been drafting yet this season. You'll see a lot of that. You're
going to see a lot of people that are wait to the end guys, and you might be able to take advantage of that. So if you got a bunch of teams, add more. If you're looking to just get in there and take your chance at $1 million or 500,000 or 200,000, there's no better time to do it. This weekend's going to be fun. There's going to be a ton of drafts. Get in there and good luck.
And regardless of that, too, this is your last chance to draft until, basically the playoff challenge that will launch coming up in December.
Yeah,
100%. Or till next year, or till January, when we launch basketball drafts again.
And the good thing about these main events that a lot of people that hopefully are watching this show, and then we'll be watching it in the next couple of days, is main event drafts go till the weekend. You up until pretty much game time on Sunday. That means after the Thursday game. I'll be drafted in a couple. I have 2 main events on Friday after the Thursday game. So don't be thinking, oh, Thursday's over, I'm done. You still have chances to add main events, and drafts after the fact. So don't forget that.
All right, I'm just sending a message to Ronnie here about the 2 viewing parties that we'll have out in Las Vegas. Of course, the free viewing party on Thursday night for FFPC.
Go to that. Players. It's a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, free food.
A lot of fun. You meet a lot of people. Some of the, one thing people don't understand is you meet a ton of people at this from all over the world, and you stay friends. I mean, I never would have gotten this space if it wasn't for meeting, guys from Wyckoff day one when I was 18 and starting the process through.
I was saying this at Kentucky too. There were so many times where, we'd have a break in the draft, or we would have, a draft would be done, and I want to get some FFPC work done, or some other, like for my day job, I want to get that stuff done, or I'd have to pee.
Day job.
Day job, which is like 2 day jobs right now. Technically 3. When we look at, or when I had to look at all this stuff to get done, and like, especially when I had to pee, I would run into somebody and I'd have like a half-hour conversation with them, because I literally, some of these guys I see twice a year in Kentucky and Vegas. Some of these people I only see once in Vegas, and the stories are flowing. So much fun. You'll make friends for life out there. It's such a great time. Looking forward.
Get out there if you can get out there. It's worth it.
Absolutely. That will do it for this broadcast tonight. Terp, maybe we'll hook up for some more live draft coverage this weekend. Otherwise, it's been real, man. Good luck with the upcoming birth of your child.
Thank you.
Big props to you and your wife. We wish
Appreciate
you nothing but the best there. We will continue to follow you on Twitter at Dave Terp. And be good, man. We'll miss you in Vegas this year, but hopefully we'll hook up on another stream soon.
Have a good one, man.
Dave Terpoilli, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy drafting out of the 6th spot tonight in our FFPC Best Ball coverage number 4. So a few housekeeping notes to bring you up to speed on what's going on with this YouTube channel. Number 1, main event live drafts off and running. 10 days left to take your chance at $1 million grand prize. That is going on right now. Football guys drafts are filling up. Probably we're in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 dozen a day going on with that. The Labor Day draftathon, Labor Day weekend draftathon's coming up. We'll churn out 30, 40, 50 drafts a day those days as well. You want to sign up, you're not going to be waiting long. Those drafts are going to fill. They're going to fill fast, and they're going to be a lot of fun. The Best Ball Tournament, which we just covered, a $200,000 grand prize, $125 entry fee. Make sure you're registering for this. If you don't believe the winner came out of this draft, jump in one yourself. Those are going to be going on too. That those are going to be going on until the kickoff until Saturday night of next weekend. Dynasty Startup still available. The Superflex Best Ball Tournament 3 is going to be launched soon. So make sure you're checking in on that. Just a $35 entry fee, load up on teams there. Plenty of live draft, sit and go, varsity, Terminator, best ball, classic options. Those are filling up a ton this time of year as well. If you just want to compete against 11 teams rather than 1,100 or 11,000, make sure you're doing that as well. That said, this YouTube channel will be live again this weekend at some point, either with myself and Aiden, or Dave and Aiden, or myself and Dave. Not really sure the logistics of that, because we're trying to figure out schedules right now to make sure we can cover maybe a football guys draft, maybe another main event draft, maybe another best ball draft. I don't know how it's going to shake out, but that's the tentative plan right now. With that, ladies and gentlemen, remember to follow Dave on Twitter at Dave Terp. Register for those drafts at myffpc.com. There's probably some drafts you can get in yet tonight. There's probably a midnight football guys draft, a 12:30 a.m. football guys draft, and there's probably a couple of best ball tournament drafts that you can get in tonight. If you want to use this information you just got from this 90-minute stream to your advantage, now is the time to do it. Thank you so much. If this is the last time I'm talking to you before the draft season starts, or before the draft season ends, I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell so you make sure you're aware every time this channel goes live, especially important this weekend. Thanks so much, everybody. It's been real, and we will talk with you again real soon.